But yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and welcome everybody to the group. As everybody may not be familiar with ARCA's remote trainings, want to welcome you. So this is kind of a new venture we've started this past year for our trainings is to offer them virtually. Excited to have our speaker Ginny today. As you can see, we're covering Bluebeam level 2. So just to reiterate, this is kind of for the next level of Bluebeam in regards to our level 1 class that we offered. So if you took a level 1, this will definitely expand on a lot of the concepts and a lot of the skills, but this is more of a active day-to-day user mindset. This will definitely be talking some higher levels. So if you have any questions, feel free to definitely use Ginny as a resource today, if not even beyond. We can certainly get in touch with her if there's a specific company need you guys have regarding Bluebeam. It's easy to set up a 1-hour session with her and your company. We can always help facilitate that as well. So just to add on, so as I mentioned, Ginny's kind of our tech guru. Additionally, she's really good at Bluebeam, but also she's very well knowledgeable, very well versed in the Microsoft suite as well. So you may see some future classes offered by us that'll be centered around Excel, Microsoft Word. There's even a medley class that talks about how all three of them can interact Outlook, Word, and Excel. So yep, you'll definitely Jenny will be a fixture for our classes. You know, as I mentioned, this is new for us, but this is going to become a regular occurrence. What you'll start to see from ARCA is that about every year from November to about May is going to be our education window. So obviously we're in the middle of that now, but I just want to let you guys know that's the expectation moving forward is that you can plan to see trainings like this from ARCA. And as we continue to kind of clean up our communication lines, that includes we'll be doing mailers, we'll be sending some emails, and we'll probably eventually be switching over to a new registration process that'll all be kind of housed online through our website. So a lot of good things happening with ARCA. Excited to have you all here today. Thank you for joining us. At the end of the class, I'll send out a survey. Not only will we kind of vet how today goes, feel free to let us know about the feedback for today's session, but also feel free to let us know of any other classes you might like to see. Our curriculum is very open-ended. We have a plethora of instructors and content that we can piece together if we need to. If there's a need that you're finding at your company that's individual, it's probably a shared need globally, if not across the country. So, yep, please feel free to let us know education-wise if there's any trainings we can put on, whether that be in person or remote. Obviously, today's session is going to be remote. We'll be here for about 3 hours overall. So, yep, that's all about the housekeeping I have. Again, my name is Randall. Just wanted to give you a face to the name if I haven't met you yet. You know, but again, we really appreciate your time today. And thank you for joining us. So, yep, I'll be here in the wings if you need me. I'll also kind of be monitoring the chat box if if Ginny's on a roll and there's a question that pops up. So, yep, thank you. I'll go ahead and pass the mic to Ginny.
All right. So hold on one second. I'm turning something on. All right. Welcome, everybody. As Randall said, I'm Ginny. I taught the level 1 Bluebeam class a few weeks ago, and I'm happy that we're back together with Bluebeam level 2. I've got a whole agenda I'm going to show you via a PowerPoint slideshow in a minute. But for those of you, I have a question. Is there anyone in the class today that did not take Bluebeam level 1? Just so I know a knowledge level. I'm not going to butch out. I just need to know if there's anyone where this is new to them. Just so you know, in the GoToMeeting chat area, there's little emojis that you can post with thumbs up, thumbs down if you don't have a microphone on your machine. You can just type into the chat box if you don't have a microphone, but feel free to turn your mics on and talk to me. The better classes are the ones where people are talking and sharing their experience and asking questions. So I strongly recommend that we do that. So back to my question. Do I have any people that were not in level 1? Okay. I'm going to take that. Everyone has taken level 1 with me. Takes me to my next question. Do you have any open-ended questions from the level 1 class that you want me to review in today's class? And that may come to you as I'm teaching, all right? Okay, so we're going to split this class in two. At 9:30, we're going to take a 15-minute break. And at that point, Randall will leave all of you will leave your machines on and get your coffee and return calls and such. You'll see that I'm going to leave the session for a few minutes. Bluebeam is a wonderful program, but between all the things I'm doing in the class and running it within the GoToMeeting software, I get a little slow on memory in the second half of the class. So I shut down my machine and restarted at the break. So if you see that I've left for a few minutes, it's only because I'm restarting my machine. Good? All right. Let's see what we've got to do and learn today. So the part one of today's class, we're going to talk about linking documents. All right. So linking, obviously everybody knows what a link is, right? I'm going to click on a hyperlink. It's going to take me someplace else. You've probably used it many, many times. I'm going to show you how you can set up a simple individual link between documents. And then I'm going to show you this feature called batch link. It's really awesome. If you have a drawing, a PDF that has a title page, you can actually set up links from that title page, hyperlinks, to the individual parts of the document where those sheet titles and sheet numbers are listed and the details actually found. So notice that in my slide it says 2018 to Extreme only. We have different plans within Bluebeam, and I'm in the latest cloud version of Bluebeam, and I have the highest level plan. And I'm going to, hold on, I want to just show you guys something here. I'm going to show you the plan comparison. I'm in what's called Bluebeam Complete, all right? And it's a subscription annually. And we don't care about what the cost is right now. But you have Basic, Core, and Complete. And some of the features that I'm showing you today are only in the Complete version. I'm going to be showing you Dynamic Fill, Quantity Link, Batch Link today. It's worth learning about because if your company, if you like what I'm showing you and you think that it's something that you can use and you have a lot of licenses, you do not have to get a license for each person. You could designate one person to do these particular features and the results can be shared with everyone. Also, I like to explain to you, I do not sell Bluebeam, so I am not making money on this. I'm just your teacher, but I want to make sure that you understand everything that I'm showing you. If you have the desktop version and you have Bluebeam 2018 to Bluebeam Extreme, all of the things I'm showing you today will be there. So you'll know if you don't have it, but it's still worth watching because they're really great features that I'll be showing you. So let me just get back to my normal screen here. So that's why I have 218 to Extreme only in there, batch link. Then we're going to learn about spaces. Sometimes I have time to cover them in my first level class, and I review them again because they're very important. Spaces are where you can go in and name areas of your drawing. If you put markups in those areas, you can designate through the markup list what spaces you want to see and work with. Then we have layers. Layers are things that many people have worked with prior to class because many of your drawings are generated from CAD. And in CAD, they put a layer in and it's downloaded. Those layers are accessible inside of Bluebeam. A general explanation of layers is that it is a way of grouping markups that you will want to show and hide at different areas of your drawings. We'll be working with layers. Then we're going to go into markups in the tool chest. We worked with markups in our first level class. I showed you what tool chests were in the first level class. I'm going to do something a little higher end, and I'm going to show you how you can have your own signature stored as a stamp in a markup. So that's kind of a cool thing we're going to be doing. Working a little bit more with measurements. Estimation and takeoff. I'm going to show you how to add some pricing columns into your markup list and how to do some takeoffs on those. And then we have a break. So that's our first part of our class. All right, let's get busy and go over to our Bluebeam. Hold on, I got to find it. There we are. All right, so here we are. The first thing I'm going to show you how to do is I'm going to show you the finished version of this. By the way, everybody should have all the handouts from the class. I email them over to Randall and Nancy ahead of class. So this is the batch link that I was telling you about. And here's how it works. Do you see these? It's a little pale, but do you see how AA01, 4, 5, 6, and 7? If I position my mouse on them, I have a hyperlink. I don't on 201 because I didn't do it for the entire document. But prior to class, I set this up. I took the pages of the document and split them out into individual files. And I didn't have to do that, but if I hadn't, these links would just take you to the page where you find A004. All right. So I added an extra step, which is extracting pages of the document. It's something we covered in our level 1. But now, because of this batch link, if I click on this, it opens up that document, takes me directly to it. Kind of cool, huh? So that's what batch link is. That's what we're going to start out with today. Let me go and open up a file for you called combined. Oh, somehow my sample, hold on just a second here. It has the links in there. I can get rid of them, but just a minute. Open this one up. Oh, all right. Just give me a second. I'll go into my places, my links, and get rid of all of them. Good. So let me just do a save of this file. And we'll start from square one. All right. So we're going to go in. I'm going to zoom in here. And on this document, it's a 7-page document. In every single page in the bottom right-hand corner is the sheet number and the sheet title. All right. So if I go to the second page, it says survey copy A002 and so on. All right. So the first part of this exercise is kind of a review of something we did in the first class. We're going to extract these pages into their own file. All right. Also, prior to class, let me just show you this. I went in and created a folder called class extraction. There's nothing in it right now. And so I'm going to extract these individual pages as their own files into that folder. Okay. The setting is done. How do I do it? I go up to batch. I go to link. And this is how you'll know if you have the highest level of the Bluebeam plan. This will not be grayed out. You will have access to it. All right. And is there anybody who's going to be going along and doing the functions that I'm doing with me in the class? Or are you all pretty much going to be watching what I'm doing? Because I want to pace myself. Okay, I'll just continue forward. So I'm going to create a new link. Actually, first I'm going to go into extract pages. All right. So I'm going to go in and extract my pages as separate files. All right. And I want it to do all the pages of this document. And when it extracts it, it's going to use the label as file names. So I will go in. I'm not going to open the files afterwards. I'll just show you where I put them. All right. So I'm going to go in and hold on. Let me do, I have to select a folder, level 2. There we go. That's the folder. All right. So let me go over here and create page labels. Page region, select, and first I'm going to do the sheet number. Highlight this. It shows me A001. I'm going to add a dash in between the first area that I'm going to capture and the second. and then I'm going to add the second area in and use the title sheet. There's region 2. I'll say OK. I'll say OK, and it will do all of the pages here. See, they all now have a label. So now I will go in and highlight all of them and do an extraction. There, and I'm going to do a shift click here, hit my right mouse, and do extract pages. I showed you this screen earlier. I'm going to click OK. And here we go. I'll just click OK, pass this message, and then let's go see if it worked. It did. There's all of the individual pages of the document. When they were extracted, they made copies of those pages. They didn't delete the page from the current document. All right, that's the first thing I did. That everyone can do, whether you have the highest level plan or not. All right, you can do it within this hyperlink option that I'm going to be teaching you next, or you can do it ahead of time. I showed you it ahead of time so that those of you who don't have the extreme version of the product know that you can still do it. All right, so now we're going to go in and I'm going to come back into this document, do a batch, link, new. Okay, so I'm going to go in and add a folder, and it is class extraction. And then I'm going to hit next. All right. Since I went in and did those labels, I can use file name here. If I had not done that, I would have to use the page region select right now. So the operation that I just did either has to be done prior to going into this procedure or during it. All right. So you can see that if I go and look at scan preview, I have AAO1-title sheet. If I go into settings, I want to show you what you have to do. I only want it to search on the AAO1. So I came in here and I said, first from the start up to a dash. So where it sees the dash, it stops. And that's what the hyperlink is going to be, AAO1 to AAO1. All right. So I'll click OK here. The next thing I have to do is generate. So you first deal with the left-hand side, whether you're using a file name or page region. Then you go into settings and set that up. And then you're generating it. You're generating it so you can see it down below here. When I do a generate, I get all of the sheets that were in that file. Okay. So now, if I go into link options just to show you that, the one thing that I changed in here is I included appearance properties and I made the color yellow. I could pick any color I want, all right? It doesn't include that, so in the title sheet, you can't tell where the links are. So you want a little highlighting there so you can actually see where those links are, all right? So that's all I did prior to class. So now I'm going to do a run. It's going through all of the pages. It came up with 117 hyperlinks. I'm going to do a finish and close. And I'm going to close this sample down. And I'm going to not save it. I think I did anything important in there. So now I'm opening up the title sheet. And they're there. There's my hyperlinks. Cool. Questions on how to do a batch link. It's like giving your viewers a table of contents, isn't it? So if I hadn't extracted those pages out, which I didn't have to, and I put this batch link in, it would have batch linked me to inside of this document where A004 is. All right. I always ask for feedback, don't I? Is this something that you might use? If you're working with contracts and you have some type of a header page on it, this would be helpful with that. All right. I'll try to keep up. Oh, Brian, did I go too fast? Talk to me. Do you want me to do it one more time? I can run through it a second time for you.
Um, yeah, if you don't mind, I barely
I don't.
found the class samples that were the combined
Oh,
sample
okay. Okay.
because I downloaded everything, but I hadn't opened up the files and gone through them yet.
All right. So let me just show you what I did. All right. I'll walk you through it without going through each step, but I'll walk you through it. All right. So the first thing I did was I opened up combined, and I'll go full page on this. So what I want to do is set a hyperlink that links. I only have 7 pages in here. I know the table of content or the title page is a lot longer. I just
Mhm.
worked with 7 pages, but I want to have all of these sheet numbers become hyperlinks. All right. So I went in and I did the label, set up the label. I did this by coming in here, clicking over here. This is the thumbnail sketch. Clicking over here, and I created page labels. All right, and they're not in here now, so I can do them. They're very quick. You go down, and oh, it went away. Hold on. Oh, page region. Select. I highlighted the sheet number. I added a dash. I added another area, and I did the title. I say OK. I want all 7 pages. I've got them. All right. So now if I go into my, and I'm going to just do a save right now. Okay. So now the next thing I did was the extract. All right. I'm not going to do that step for you, but how do you do an extract? You then highlight all of your pages. Oops. Wait a minute. My shift click didn't work on me. Click, shift click. And then you hit your right mouse and you do the extract pages. And in here, I already did the heavy lifting, if you will. I did the page labels, and if they're in there already, it would extract them again. And so I would just click OK here, but I'm not going to. All right. So what that did was it sent them out into their own files, into that folder called extraction. Now they are separate. All right. You should actually, now I'm going to close this down. I'm going to close down title sheet. All right. Because after you set up your extracted individuals, you don't have to open anything up. So I could go in here, I did a new, I picked the folder I wanted to work with, and it was extraction, class extraction. And then I hit the next button. And in here, I can use file name because it was already done. I went into settings and I said only pick it up to the dash. I then generate this. All right. So now I can do a run. And even without the document open, it creates hyperlinks for me. So now if I go back in and I open up the title page, they are there. And in this instance, they take me to external documents, and that's how it works. Better, Brian?
Yes.
Yes? Okay,
Yep.
good, good. Remember, I put my email address out there, so if you're going through stuff and you're having trouble afterwards, please just give me a call, all right, or an email. Calls are hard. I'm online an awful lot. All right, the next exercise is this. I'm going to open up a document that's called Bluebeam Sample 1. Everybody should have it. And in this document, just so you know, before class, I went in and I declared some bookmarks. And so it took me to the battery charging area. And I don't want to be quite that zoomed in. All right. What I want to do in this next exercise is I'd like to take a snapshot of this area and paste it into another document so that I can zoom in and I can do all sorts of extra detail. I could actually paste it if I added a new page at the end of this document, but to make it a little more exciting, we're going to paste it into a new document. All right. Now, the thing is if it's in a new document, what we're going to want to do, and this is the second part of the exercise, is we're going to want to link that new document back to this area. So after someone is done viewing it, they can come back to the original document it came from. So that's our second hyperlink that we're going to be doing. All right, so for this exercise, I'm going to also open up a document that I call blank landscape. And you know what it is? It's a blank document that I'm going to paste my snapshot in. So here I am in Bluebeam level 1. Now, the snapshot is when you want to, section out a part of the document. And you can get to it either from the edit snapshot, or you can hit the letter G. All right. So when you do it, when you initiate the procedure, you get the crosshair with a rectangle, and it's kind of telling you go in and block out what you want to zoom in on. So I do that. Now, when I let go of my mouse, it's going to look like a camera shutter kind of clicks at you. This is the part that isn't overly intuitive. What you do next is you go to the location where you want to paste it. I want to go into a new document, so I'm going to not draw anything. I'm just going to hit my right mouse and do a paste. All right, so I'm going to go full page on this, and I'm going to bring this down so it fits on the page, make it a little smaller. All right, so now I've done my paste. So I'm going to go back to this document, and I'm going to close it down because the next step that I'm going to show you is how you link the resulting snapshot back to the original document. All right? Everybody following so far? Does this make sense? Okay, so here's how we do it. In this document, I'm going to save this document, and I'm going to call it Test Link 2, which I worked on this morning. Okay, so what I want to do now is find the document I'm going to be linking it to. All right, and that was Bluebeam quantity link, wasn't it? No, it was Bluebeam sample 1. All right, so when I'm working with the other document, every time you run your cursor, see, every time I run my cursor down a list, I'll see a little green paperclip there. And that is how I'm going to link Test Link 2 back to the original document, all right, which was sample 1. So the first step is activating the paperclip. So I'm going to click on this once with my left mouse. Now it gives me the crosshair, and it's basically asking me to designate the area that this is linked with. It's the handshake here. So I'm going to draw a rectangle around here. All right. And so now I have created a link. All right. But see how if I position myself, I get the little link icon. All right. It's not good enough yet because no one will know that that's a link. Right. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to do a file save because when something's good, you want to save it. All right. I'm going to click on this. I opened it. It does work. What I want to do with this is point to this area, hit my right mouse, and go into properties. And I wish that this was the default that I could set. I should go up into the properties preferences and see if I can do this. But in the properties, we have an area called appearance. We'll click on visible. And so what it does is it puts like a red box around it. You can change that, the width. I can make it a little fatter if I want so that it looks a little well known, right? Better known. And then I'm going to do a file save again. Okay, so now I'm going to come back and close down sample 1. So now I'll close down my properties. So now it's a little bit better. It's showing me it's going to go and open up Bluebeam sample 1 also, isn't it? So if I click on this, Bluebeam sample 1 shows up. Ta-da. So that's how you can link two documents together when you're working with snapshots. Questions, anyone? No questions? All right, let me ask you this. Did you like it? Is it something you might use? Talk to me, guys. I want to show you one more thing about that. If I go back to test link 2, and I hit my right mouse, and I go into the edit action, that's the actual link that's going on. All right. So this is in the action dialog box. This is what says open the other file. It's the easiest way to do it, but I could have done that snapshot and then gone into edit action and designated the file I wanted to go to. Also, it's just more clicks. All right. You can also, with this edit action, just to let you know, on any markup that you put in your document, you can go in and say, this is going to be a hyperlink that's going to move to another page. That's going to move to a named space, which we haven't gotten to yet. That's going to move to the internet, and there's a hyperlink. So this is your action screen. Very useful. What do you think? Any questions on that? All right. I'm going to keep going. All right, next, let's go back and look at our PowerPoint presentation, see what we've got. We did our batch link a couple of times. So we set links from the title page numbers to the relative pages. We created labels, extracted each page to a separate document, and then we performed the batch link procedure. Now we're going to go into markups. All right, and let me close this down. And let's see what I've got for markups. Give me a second to get to my notes. I want to go to spaces next. So that's the next thing on my agenda. It seems that it jumped a little bit for me, but here we go. We're going to open up a document that's called spaces. And if I open that up, I'm going to show you something with a space. You can also, if you don't have the spaces sample in your Bluebeam sample 1, you can stay in there. And you can go over to this icon on the left-hand side, which is called spaces. And you can work from there, and we can create something from there. But I'm going to go into my spaces sample, because in spaces, I've already gotten some spaces that I drew before class. So I'm going to show you some existing spaces, and then I'm going to show you how to create your own spaces. So in the spaces area, I've got something that says page 2. This is the page that the space is on. All right, let me narrow this out. So it's on page 2. So if I click on that, it hides the detail. This takes me to where the first markup is. It is on page 2. I named it floor 2. And then within floor 2, I nested office 1. All right, and office 2. Okay. So besides it being a good navigation tool for you, because you're working as a team, you can tell people, go to this space, right? You can also put markups in there. And everybody knows what the markup list is from the first class. I'm going to pop it open now. All right. So if I put a markup into one of those spaces, because I have an area here called space, let me shrink this down a little bit. It will show up with the space name here. All right. So I'm going to go in and put a cloud here. And then I'm going to put a cloud here. And now my markup list reflects where my markups are relative to the space names that I gave them. All right, so the concept of a space is naming an area on your document. And then the second level is if you put a markup in that named area, you can go in and use the space feature. Why would you want to use it? Because I could go in here and I could say, I just want to find something that is in floor 2. So it set the filter based on that space, right? Or I could have put office 1 and it would zoom in on that. Remember, you can export your markup list based on filters also, so you can share. So you use them for markups, but you don't have to have markups that you're using them with, all right? So let me go back over here to my bookmark. I don't have any here. Over in my Bluebeam sample 1, I'll go to my bookmark, and I'll go to my, let's see, here's my battery charging area, right? So I've got a bookmark that takes me to that area, but I didn't, in my Bluebeam sample 1, I didn't name that as a space. So if I put markups in there, it won't reflect it. But sometimes you just use spaces to move to an area, okay? So if I wanted to turn this into a space, I can click on this, and then I can say add a space, and then I just go and block it out, and then I'm going to call that battery charging area. What I'm getting at here is spaces are sophisticated bookmarks because they still take you to an area, don't they? But in this instance, if I add markups to this area now, they will be reflected in the markup list. Questions on what they are? Let's go and do some spaces of our own. What we're going to do, let me hit escape to zoom in here. What we're going to do with my spaces sample is we're going to come in here. First, let me go in and get rid of these markups. I don't really need them. Okay, so I'm going to create a floor 1 because I have a floor 2, and then I'm going to create a couple of offices on this floor. How do I do it? Just like I did it earlier. Click on that, plus, and then block out the whole floor. This is different than measuring. We're not doing any measuring right now. Floor 1, and I'm going to make sure my naming is the same as floor 2. So I had a dash there, no spaces, floor 1, okay. All right, now within that floor, I'm going to go and get, let me get my hand to position myself and zoom in. I'm going to go in and add an office. So I'm going to do a rectangle there, call it office 1. And then it stays alive. My tool stays alive. When I click on office 2, it already knows the name because it adds the 2 to it. I can do an office 3 and so on. Okay, so namespaces, put markups in them. It's going to give you more information in your markups list. Questions, anyone? On spaces? Okay. Let's go and talk about layers next. I'm going to do a save of this. Going to go back to Bluebeam sample 1. Let's see if we have any layers in here. We certainly do. Okay, so showing is better than explaining in this instance. On page 2 of this document, and I'm on page 1 right now, there are layers. These are what I call inherited layers. This document was created in CAD and then given to me as a PDF, but in CAD they created layers, and so those layers are incorporated into the document as part of the native document. They're not markups, they're just layers. So first thing I want you to notice is that when I go to the layer option on the left-hand panel, their names are listed here, but they're all grayed out, aren't they? They're ghosted out. So if I click on any of them, nothing really happens because, I mean, it does select it because I can do some menu options with that layer. But to see the actual placement of the layers, I have to go to page 2. See how they came out darker? I'm going to zoom in here. All right. So next to each layer name is an eyeball, and those are on-off switches. So if I come down here to supply and I click on that, it turned off the supplies. They are not markups. They came from CAD, right? So I can go in, I can't select anything, but this allows you to show and hide things. If I don't want to see any of the returns, I can hide the returns. If I print this now, it will come up just as you see it, all right? Also in here, If I stretch out this panel, I can lock a layer so that you cannot turn it on and off. You can only see it. I can decide whether someone can print or export a layer, because you can do that. All right. That comes from the corresponding layer panel on the left-hand side. The other thing I can do is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to point to any one of the layer names, hit my right mouse, and I'm going to say show all. Or I can do just the opposite. I can point to any one of these layers, hit my right mouse, and I can do an isolate. So now that is the only layer I've got. If I wanted to, I could export it. So layers are nice because I can hide and display things, right, on the same page. I can add my markups to any of these existing layers. So I'm going to put a markup in here. I'm just going to put a rectangle in. All right, and I want that to be added to this layer. So I can hit the right mouse, go to layer, and I can say add it to supply. Oops, sorry, my mouse went a little nuts there. So now that is part of the supply layer. If I go in, and I'll turn on columns now, and I say turn off supply, it will be hidden. You can also go in and create your own layers. And when you have markups with markups in a layer that you've done, will also display in the markup list. So here we go. I can see that this was assigned to the GHC supply layer. Okay. You don't see the other parts of the layer because it's not a markup. Markup list only shows you markups. All right. If I wanted to create a layer, I could do it easily. I could point to any markup. I'll put a new one in here. Oops. And I've got a couple ways of doing it. I can hit my right mouse and I can go to layer and I can slide, go to layer, slide down here and create a new layer. All right. I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to call that the ARCA MCA. I'm not sure if it'll let me put that slash in there. So that's the ARCA MCA layer. If I turn it off, you can't see it. Layers can go across pages. They don't have to be on one page. All right. Spaces is just an individual area that you're marking. So a space is within one page. All right. So that's what layers are. Also, I can point to anything in my layer list, and I can designate that as the default, that every new markup in this session will be assigned to that layer. You restart, you have to assign it again. So I can say any new markups I do will automatically be assigned to this layer that I'm on. All right. Questions on layers? Anyone? I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say show all.
Can I just see really quick how you added to a layer on that?
Oh yeah, sure.
It was just a right click, or?
I use just the right click. So with this object, if I hit my right mouse, I went in and I selected layer. And instead of adding it to one of the existing layers, I came down here and I created a new layer. But if I wanted to add it to this, I don't know, I'll do columns. I could click there and it would be added to the column layer. So you can add to an existing or create a new one there. Okay.
Thank you.
Good. One other thing, if you wanted to insert a layer in a specific place, you could use your left panel because you could add a layer before or after the layer that you're on. And sometimes you have layers and sub-nested layers, I call them. That would be called a child. So if I wanted GHC supply to have an additional like subcategory, I could use the left panel and I could add it there as a child and it would be indented, right? Layers are cool. Okay. Brian, have you used layers prior to class?
No, I'm just really kind of getting into Bluebeam. I took the first class with you a little while back, and then
right.
Just trying to up my game on some of this stuff.
Well, I think layers are pretty popular. and many of the reasons is not just the showing and hiding, but it's because of layers in the markup list. Remember how we focused on that markup list? So yes, so that's kind of why I think they're so popular. So, all right, good. Any other questions from anyone else on layers? Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go in and create a custom stamp for you. We're going to start working on markups now. And so I showed you the namespaces. Let me just see here where I've got my stamps. Okay. So we're going to start with square one. I'm going to close down this for a minute and close that. All right. I went in prior to class. Hold on. And I have to show you a document I created. Nope, it's not that one. Eek. Okay, here it is. The goal of this exercise is that I'm going to create a stamp and use my signature in the stamp. All right. So prior to class, I got my camera out and I, on a sheet of paper, wrote my signature. All right. I named it signature and it became a JPEG file. So that's what I did prior to class. That's the document that I created. All right. So it's not a PDF. Whenever you take pictures of things, it usually wants to make it a JPEG. All right. So then next, I'm going to go in and I'm going to open up my blank doc again. And now I'm going to go and grab that JPEG and create my stamp. So the first step is going over to the right, and it is an image. So I'm going to click on image, and it takes me to the folder where signature is stored. Obviously, if it is in a different place, I'd have to go and browse and look for it. So this is that document. I'm going to click on signature and click on open. So now it doesn't like automatically place it. I draw a rectangle and it gives me the entire 8.5 by 11. Okay. So I don't want, I'll zoom in a little. I of course only want the signature area. So with it selected, I get my mini toolbar, property toolbar up here, and I've got an option here called cropping. What cropping does is it says cut this out. So this is the only section I want to see. So I'm going to turn on cropping, and then I'm going to draw a rectangle around my name. So that's all that's left. Now I could use this, copy this into a new stamp, but wouldn't it look better if it didn't have any background? So to get rid of your background, you go in and you click on mask. When I click on mask color, I have an eyedropper here. I'm going to click on the eyedropper and then click on the background, and it's going to immediately recognize that brownish color as the mask. So I'm going to click on this, and then I just click on the background. It now knows that that's the mask color. So now I can go in and I can change my tolerance and it gets rid of all of that background color. And so now I have a nice object that I can place into my stamp. So to repeat that again, I took a picture, I brought the image in. With the image, I cropped it, and then I went in and I selected the mask and I increased the tolerance so that I could have no background there. All right. So that being done, I will now go into Tools, Stamp, and just to show you, this is where our goal is. Prior to class, I created the G Floride signature, but I'm going to do it again with you. And when I did that, it comes up and I included the date with it. All right, so that's where we're going to go with this. So now I'm going to go to Tools, Stamp, and down below, if I slide over to the right, I'm going to create a stamp. Okay, so the subject is going to call it stamp. I'm going to call it class signature. All right, and instead of using a blank template, I'm going to use one, a text with a date and a border. All right, so whether you're doing a signature, oh man, look at that. Let's turn that off and do it again. On my computer, when I am in class, caps lock, it doesn't, the light doesn't always go in. Okay, so this is called signature. All right. So whether you're making it a signature stamp or not doesn't matter. Whenever you create your own stamp, this is a nice option, the date option, all right, because it will automatically update that stamp with the current date every time you use it. And of course, you've got other options that you can do here, okay? So I've created this. All right, now I'm going to go back to my document. I'm going to point to this, and I'm going to hit my right mouse, and I'm going to do a copy. I'm going to go back into my new document, and I'm going to do a paste. All right, so I want to get rid of this that says class signature, and I want to put mine in it, right? And notice it already says date and time. All right, so I'm pretty much done here, but I do want to show you this. If I click on this, let me just do this. Sometimes you'll create a stamp where you're putting some text in here. Whenever you use the text tool inside of a stamp, you get this option called dynamic, and that's how it gives you date, time, month, year, hour, who the user signature is, and so on. All right, so I'm not going to leave that in there, but see if I click on this now, it's part of the text tool that you have. Now, sometimes I do this and then I have to go in and change the size of my font. So sometimes I have to fiddle with it a little bit. But what I'm actually creating right now is another PDF. So I'm going to close this down, and I'm going to, and see it wants to put it in the special Bluebeam folder for stamps. So I'm going to say save and leave it there. And now I'm going to get rid of this guy, and let's go see if it worked. Class signature. Hold your breath. Looks pretty good. Oh, I left my time in there. And if I want to edit it, I don't edit it down here. I go back up into Tools, Stamp. I find it. And you see the little pencil? I click on the pencil. And in here, if I didn't want time, I think I can just go in here and get rid of time. Oh, there's my dynamic. I knew it would come up. So I don't want time. I just want date. Oh, I added a new one. So I'll go and get rid of this. So now it just has date in there. So now when I close it and I save it and I try it again, just the date. What do you think? Guys there? Talk to me. That's how you do a stamp with your signature. Very useful, I think. I actually use it pretty frequently. All right. Next, can you change the box size? So you want the measurements to be bigger or smaller, Eileen? Let's go up and look at it. Tools, smaller. Stamp. Well, wait. First of all, I can do this with this selected. How's that? Is that what you mean? So it's only as big as the area I drew out. So just to do it again, stamp, class signature. If I do this, it's that little. And then, of course, because it's a markup, you can change the size. Does that help? Is that good? Okay, cool. All right, great. So that's, yes?
On the stamp, if we turn off the line color, it'll disappear as well.
Oh, you didn't want a border? Yes.
Yeah,
Let's
if you
go
don't want
back
a
and do
border.
it. I love your question. So here we go. Stamp, class signature. Remember I said you have to fiddle with it a little? Oh, wait, I don't want that. I wanted to edit it. Tools, stamp. Let's go edit it again. So I think if I wanted no border, oh, here it is. The properties here is line. All right, I don't want any line. That's the fill. I've only done this from the beginning. So if I go to line color and I say no line color, that pretty much did it, didn't it? All right, let's save it and close it. I will say this, one of the options when I created the stamp was to not have a border. So that's how I usually do it. I decide on the front end, but now you just taught me something new. Let's go see if it works. Tools, stamp, class signature. Looks like it did. Good? Brian, that worked for you?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You are welcome. All right, good. Now, more markups. I've got more markups for you. So I want to go in and show you how to do cutouts. And I will do that by going back in and opening up my Bluebeam sample 1. And let's go to page 1. Okay. So cutouts are really more for measuring. I'm going to hold off on that. And let's see, what else do I have here that I can go through? And rectangle. Okay. I am going to do a quick measurement here. I'm going to do a tools measure. And I'm going to go in and do an area measurement. I'm not going to do an exact one right now, just so that I can get this in here. And I'm going to say apply the scale to all the pages. Okay, so now, sometimes when you are doing your measuring, first of all, with this measurement selected, I can do a shift, click, and drag and pull that out of the way. I can also go into Tools, Measure, and I just want to show you how we can go in and do a sketch to scale, which gives us an exact measurement, and then also, hold on, measure, a polygon cutout. So first we're going to do a measure polygon cutout. And what that does is I was doing something with flooring and I needed a pillar here. I could do that and it deducted it from the square footage of the room. If I wanted to see what that size of that pillar was, I could go back to Tools, Measure, and click on Area again because I need an area measurement. And I can click right here and it tells me that that's 36 feet. So that gives us what's called a cutout. I'm also going to show you on my blank document how to do a sketch to scale. It's another type of measurement. So I'm going to go into Tools, Measurement, Sketch to Scale. I always want Sketch to Scale to be inside of Measure because it is a measurement. And I'm going to do a rectangle sketch to scale. So I'm going to click here. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click once, and then I'm going to type in the measurements that I want, okay? Instead of normally you just click, 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 click. I can do that, but if I want an exact size, I click once, and it gives me this pop-up box. So if I want my width to be 5 feet, I can then hit the Tab key, and I want my height to be 7 feet 2 inches. And I don't want any rotation. When I hit enter, that is based on the scale of the page. That is the exact rectangle size that I wanted, okay? So that's the sketch to scale. Just to take you back there again, I can get a polygon, rectangle, ellipse, and polyline sketch to scale. So those are our sketch to scale features. Good? All right. Going over to my markups, I have what I want to show you next is you can create custom markups. All right. So I just yesterday added this in so that I could show you a better markup example. So you guys won't have this one. But basically, when you do markups, they're usually just one picture that you're taking and you're drawing it out, right? So a normal markup would be, I'm going to go down here, I'm going to get an ellipse, I'm going to draw it out, okay? But sometimes you want to manufacture, create your own, and it's going to be a result of grouping things together, okay? So I'm going to delete that one because I don't want it. So I placed this on the drawing beforehand. And remember, this was an ellipse. I hit the shift key when I drew it out, so it gave me a circle. All right. So I took that, and then I want to take this, and I want to pull it in so that it's going to make a cross in the center of it. And then I'm going to bring this down. I'm not the world's best drawer, but you're kind of getting the idea. And then I want it to look like it's an arrow. So I'm putting that there. And then I want the end to come on top of it. So I've now created a not bad custom markup. So now I want to group all of those things together. So I'm going to get my pointer, and I'm going to draw a box around all of them. And then I'm going to, I always lose it when okay. I had to hit shift as I was pointing to one of the little selection dots that came with it to get the shortcut menu. And in there, I've got something called group. So this becomes its own markup. And I can say, instead of having it being called group, I'm going to say this is north compass. And I could even flatten it if I wanted to. But what would I do next with it? It's something I might use over and over again. I would add it to my tool chest. And so we have the ARCA MCA tool chest here. So I can click here, and I can say add to the tool chest, put it in there. And so now I can use it wherever else I need it. So that's grouping markups. So you can make your own markups. And this is, just one simple one that I put together for you. Any questions on that? Okay. The next thing I want to show you, and I can't remember if I gave you this in the first class or not, but I have something I'm putting in the chat box right now, and it's called the downloaded tool chest. All right. So everyone should copy and paste this into their machine. You get free tool chests with every different plan that Bluebeam offers, and this is the fastest way to download them. So I have some of them already downloaded on my machine. I don't think you get engineer automatically. I downloaded that. I downloaded construction symbols. All right. And many of these, you guys, are, just merged together, individual icons, like I just did a grouping. All right. So I'm going to take you out here. I'm going to click on this. And let me bring it over. One of the best things that Bluebeam does is this particular feature. So now if I go to tool sets, so there's different types of libraries, they call them. They have some prefab stamps you can get. You can go and look at that on your own. They have tool sets. Profiles, not that great. Dictionaries, if you work in multiple languages, it'll download special dictionaries for you. So I'm going to do tool sets today. I click on it. It just takes me to a hyperlink to the tool set section. So if I come down here on my screen, I've got different types of tool sets that I can work with. If I click on oil and gas, it shows me all of those, right? If I go to construction, I did this earlier. Here's all the free construction ones that you can get. The way that you download them is you click on the one that you want. It brings you to a browser screen, and you save it in your download folder. When it downloads it, it puts it in as a .zip file. These are big files, so they are shrunk so that it's not such a big file. So in your download folder, all you do is go to that. It would be called punchplumbing.zip, and you double click on it. It unzips it and puts it right into Bluebeam. So it's a click to download it, a double click to unzip it, and then you have it inside of Bluebeam. So these are really nice features for you. Any questions on that? Freebies. We like freebies. Okay. All right. Next, we have some more things to do with some markups. And we're working with the tool chest now. So when I have something inside of my tool chest, I showed you in the first class how you can go in and do sequencing, right? Does anybody want me to show you how I did that from the first class? Because I'll be happy to do it again. Okay, so let's do this. Under sequence, I'm going to disable it so I can start over. So in the first class, I created a markup. I called it the move text markup, and I put it inside of the tool chest. Everybody knows how it got into the tool chest? Do I need to kind of show you that? I'll put it here. So basically, I created it, and I could either hit my right mouse and add it to the tool chest that way. I could go up here. I could add it to the tool chest that way. So that's how you add it to an existing tool chest. So now it's in there. Okay. And the next thing I want to do is create these sequences, right? Let me get rid of the guys I put in there. Okay. So whenever you want to do something additional with the markup you put into your tool chest, you point to it and you hit your right mouse. You don't click on it, you just point to it. So here's some of the other things that you can do. And I did a sequence with it. And so now I'm going to go and define a sequence. When I click on define, it pops up this dialog box, and you have to pick your style. Are you going to use regular numbers, lowercase Roman numerals, letters? So you have your choice. I'm leaving it there. I went in prior to class when I did this, and I typed in what this prefix was, okay? So I could go in and I could, put anything in there. Let's say I want to get rid of the MCA portion just so you can see something different today. And I can add a suffix. So what it's going to do is it's going to say ARCA-1, ARCA-2, ARCA-3. And if I had a suffix in there afterwards, I could put, let's just put MCA in afterwards so we can see a suffix. Okay. I wanted to start at the number 1, but I can pick any number I want. I wanted to increase by 1, but I can pick that also. I also want it to reset across pages. So it's going to have one set of numbering, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across pages. If I changed it to page, every time it started a new page, it would start with the number 1 again. All right. And I set this up so that if I delete a markup, it'll automatically renumber the other markups for me. All right. So I click on that. And now, oh, it didn't take. Let's go back in. Sequence. Oh, because I created it prior to class, I had to just enable it. But if you're doing it from scratch, it would be automatically enabled. Because, all right, ready? I click on it now. Now, the boxes are too small, so the MCA is doing a word wrap, isn't it? A letter wrap, we should call it. But do you see what it did? So I probably would have wanted to put a dash in front of the MCA so that it would, split it out. But here's the prefix, here's the number, here's the suffix. That's what a sequence is. Questions? Anyone? Okay. A couple of other things that we can do in here, just so that you know. Duplicate would let me make multiple markups that are very similar because they should be, but then, change 1 or 2 things about them. create count we talked about in the first class, I can take any markup now and turn it into a count. So we do have in the tools measure something called count, and it looks like a check mark, right? Okay, we went over this in the first class. It doesn't have to look like a check mark. First of all, if I use the traditional one, I can go up to the properties box and I can change it from a check mark to any of these shapes if I wanted to. But I can also take any of the shapes in my tool chest and turn them into counts by just pointing, right-clicking, and turning it into a count. All right. If you're doing a count off of a rectangle, make sure it's tiny. Otherwise, it kind of is too big for what you're going to be counting with. All right. I showed you action this morning when I went into the linking. That's what it does, is it allows you to link to another page or another document. And we know what layers are. Good. And we also know what properties are. We showed you that in the first class. Where you're in a drawing mode right now, if I place this, it's going to be the same exact rectangle each time I place it. But if I go into properties mode, I will change the size of it every time I place it. It's still going to have the same name that I gave it, but properties means it'll maintain the color, the shape, the outline, all of the properties that you set up here or in your properties box, but you can make each item look different. All right. So that's a couple of other things that you need to know about markups and tool chests. Something else you can do that we didn't cover in the first class is you can create your own markup legend for each tool chest. And what it does is it shows you on the screen, on the page, how many markups you have placed from that tool chest. This is a good example. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to go over here to legend, and I'm going to create a new legend. So when I do that, let me go full screen here. There we go. This is showing me, if I zoom in, I have placed the move text, each one of those separately. This is my north compass that I placed there. I placed the rectangle 2 times, so it gives me a count. So I can modify this if I want to. If I go into the full property screen of this tool chest, I can go in here and I can say, hold on, I have to find it. There's something where we can edit our columns. Appearance lock. It's kind of sneakily. Here it is, edit columns, right? So I can have, other than description, quantity, and unit, I can change that to any of the other columns that I've got. So you know how I was showing you how to go in and put spaces and such. You can have all of those displayed if you want. So you can see there's your layer and space if you wanted it to show you the names of the layers if you had layers that you were using in there. So you can change what you're tracking if you needed to. All right. And you don't have to show column headers, but you do. You want to. You want description, quantity, and unit to be there. So what happens if I go back in and I go to that tool chest? Where are you? There you go. And I place another receptacle. So I'm going to click on this and place it down here. Oh, I was in the wrong one. I was in Hill. Let me go and get it from you. So I'm going to click here, draw it out. It ups to 3. So anything that you put into this tool chest will automatically update this legend for you. Good. If you have a document with multiple pages, you can go into properties and tell it to do the legend per document, not per page. It's under properties. Let me go over here and see if I can find it quickly. Layout options. It's in here someplace. I always have a hard time finding it in my class. Oh, it is, I gotta be in the right place. There. Layout scale. I can't find it right now, but there is the ability of setting it per document. I'll look at it at break. If I can get to it, I'll show it to you. Otherwise, I'll be happy to look at it afterwards. So it wants to do one for each page. So I'll see if I can find that later. Okay, so what do you think of the legend? Pretty good? I kind of like it because it gives you another visual opportunity to be tracking what you're putting on your document. Okay, all right, let's go back to our presentation here and see what we've done. I gave you namespaces, I gave you cutouts. I should say markups and measurements because I kind of merged the two of these here. I did your rectangle sketch to scale. I gave you a custom markup. Then we did some sequencing, and I gave you the legends. All right. Let me just look at my notes here to see. Got a couple of other things I want to show you before I let you go on break. Any questions, though, so far? Anyone? Okay, I'm going to do a
Was
couple more. Yes?
that legend was in the toolbox that you downloaded? Is that where you got it from?
Yes, yes. Let me just
Okay.
take you over there to reinforce that. So each tool chest has its own legend. So I clicked on the properties box here, and there it came. There was legend.
Okay.
Good, good.
Thank you.
Also, while I'm in here, I want to tell you that sometimes you will download tools from an external source and the scale doesn't match the scale of your document. You would come in here and do a set scale so that your tools were the right scale to the page. An example is one of my clients was in interior design and they downloaded things that looked like tables and chairs, but they were huge compared to the scale of the room. So they had to go in and downsize what the scale of that of that markup tool chest was. Okay, good. I'm going to go in and do tools measure poly length for you. Okay, and I'm going to hit escape because I'm only going to do one. And when I come in here, if I click on this and I hit my right mouse, I can actually go in and take a part of that poly length and split it out. All right. So first, let me just show you this. If I go down below in my markup list right now, that's called poly length measurement. It's 1 unit. Okay. So sometimes you want to go in and take one of the lines and make it its own. All right. So I just split this out. Let's go see what happens now. I have 2 different items. That's that one line in my markup list, and I can take it and pull it over here. All right. So start paying attention to when things are grouped. Click on them, hit your right mouse. It's how you can split things out. I could have done a split all if I wanted to with that poly length measurement. Let me do an undo. And now if I go in here, and for some reason, let me get my little hand. All right. With this selected, I can hit the right mouse and I can do a split all. They're all separate pieces now. Let me ask you a question. Does anybody know how? And now I'm going to go in and regroup them. Highlight them, hit the right mouse, and there should be a grouper in there. They become one. All right. And does anybody know how when you are doing poly lengths, I'll do another one for you. Tools, measure, poly lengths. If I wanted to go in and only see the total of what those lines are, not the individual sections, how would I do that? Anybody know? How would I do it? I don't want to see each of these sections. I just want to see what the total length is. The way that you would do that, go ahead, yes.
Is that in your markup list?
No, it's not in the markup list, but that's where I went the first time too. That would be in the full properties area. So I can go in here and I can say no sections, I think it's called. See, align, show segment values. I can turn that off. But I went to the markup list first thinking that's where I could change it. Usually it's going to be in properties that you're going to change that. A shortcut menu you can try, but if you don't find it there, go to your properties. And this is with any of your measurements if it's showing, and also it's where you can say show me segments. If you did an area or any kind of measurement, you could say I do want to see segments here. Okay, so hopefully that helps. All right, let me see what else I want to show you. I did that. Did I tell you in our first class, I think I did, that you can export your tool chests and your markups to other people? So if I go up to my tool chest here and I wanted to share this with other people, I could do an export. All right, let's talk about it. It's important. I'm going to click on export. The first thing it does is says, do you want to save it? Because when you save your files, it does not save anything in a tool chest. All right, that is like a separate entity. So I would first save it, and then I could go in, because today I added my little north compass in there, right? So today I would go in there, and if I wanted to do an export, now it will take me to a folder that I could export it to. You'll want to export it to a folder that everybody else has, okay, has access to. So you'd want to put it on a shared drive or out on the cloud. So you can do it that way. Also, you should know, if I stored this to my desktop, see how it has a last name of BTX? Well, if I did that, I could even email it to somebody. They're not really big files, so I could then go to where I stored it and then drag it into my Outlook, and I could send it out to somebody else that way. All right? How many of you, after our first class, did anything with the tool chest? Because I know it was new to many of you people. How many of you used your tool chest more after our class? Anyone? Okay, we're just going to move on. All right, I'm going to close out. We've got 5 minutes. I'm going to start out with more on measurements and takeoffs. And so I'm going to come in here and show you what we're going to do. If we don't get it all done now, we'll do it afterwards. I opened up a document called Estimating Flooring Completed. And what I did prior to class was I measured office 1, 2, and 3. And if I click on those measurements and I go over here, I called them flooring. I gave them a name. All right. So I'm doing flooring for those 3 offices. All right. And so now if I go down below, there's my flooring for office 1, flooring, office 2, flooring. I did the measurements. All right. Then I went in and I added a new column called material, and I created another, inside of it, it's a pick list, and I gave each of the different kinds of material a price. So if I now go into the material column and I double click, I can switch between hardwood floors and tile. And it gives me that per square foot. And then over here, it does a total of what that's going to cost. Okay, so that's what we're going to do next. And I've got a document where I believe I've created my floorings. Yes, so I did this part. I did the area called flooring, okay? And I've got the square footage on that. So let's go and have some fun. So now I'm going to go in here. I'm going to come up to the markup list. Remember in our first class, we searched out the ground receptacles and we priced them. We're going to do a similar thing, but we're going to do it a little more sophisticated. So I'm going to go over to columns, and I'm going to manage columns. And in my manage, I'm going to create custom columns, and the first one is going to be called, I'm going to add one in, and it's going to be called material. And that is going to be a list, a choice. So now I have to fill in my choices of hardwood and tile. So in here, I'm going to click on plus, and I'm going to call this hardwood. Here's the key. If this area that I'm going to be linking it to is called flooring inside of my list, I have to have the same name. And it is text, it is uppercase sensitive. So I'm going to assign my hardwood a price, and I'm going to say that that's, I have no idea what it goes for, $32.50 a square foot. All right. Then I'm going to add in tile, and the subject for that is going to be flooring. And I'm going to assign that, and I'm going to make that $13.25. All right. So now I have created a column with choices. Good. So I'm going to click OK here. Oh, OK here. And then I'm going to create another custom column that is going to be called price. I could call it total price, I suppose would be better. Let's do that. And that is just going to be a formula. So I'm taking what we did in our first class and doing more with it. When I click on expression, I'm going to say take the material. It's right down here. So this is very particular. It didn't like me typing it. I had to pick it from the list. And we're going to multiply that times the measurement. Come here. Acting funky for me here. Let's go down here. Huh. It's not giving me. Let me see if I can. There we go. Measurement. All right. So you see how it put it in square? I had to click here, and it's not good right here because it's like it's dropping down as I'm clicking over it. And I think it's because of the memory on my machine right now. All right. I have to do that again. All right. So this is going to be total price. This is going to be a formula. And this is going to be, now it's doing it nicely. So now I can scroll down here and take material times measurement. Good. And then I'm going to include it in totals and do an OK, and then do an OK. Okay, so now my new column over here is way at the end, and I'm going to take material and move it, and I'm going to take total price and move it. Okay, so let's go see what the flooring has to do. So if I come here on this one and I double click, if I pick hardwood, it gives me what that should be. If I pick tile, it changes it to what that should be. So you can do your own estimating inside by taking your measurements and multiplying it times the material that you're using. Good? What do you think? Did it make sense? Any, Brian?
And
How about you?
that's pretty nice. I just probably, a little more practice on it, and then be
Yes.
able to set all your stuff together.
And Brian, you should know that in the samples that I sent out, that the one that was completed is in there. So you can just go into your markup list and modify it and see what I did. So like, here's what you can do, you guys. You can go in here into columns, and then you can go down to custom. No, let me uncheck that. And do manage columns. And so under custom, you can go in there and you can click on this and do a pencil, which is modify, and it shows you what I did so that you can kind of have a model to work off of, okay, for after the class. Good?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, everybody, we are going to take a 15-minute break. So I'll see you about 1:45, and I'm going to save everything and leave the session and restart my machine because you could see that my memory was lagging a little bit. We've got lots more to work on for part 2. All right, see you in 15 minutes. Bye.
I'm here, Jenny, whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Randall.
Yep.
Testing.
I can hear you.
Okay, good.
I can hear you, Jenny. All good?
Okay, we're good. It's 9:45. Looks like it's time to get back in session. Okay, everybody. Let me put my email in here again. It's in the chat box for after class if you have questions. And Randall is going to be posting, am I correct, a survey link that it would be great if you could download that. So here we are. We're in part 2. Can I start with, do you have any questions? Anybody? It's making sense? The pace is good? No comments? We're all okay? All right, I'm going to keep going then. All right, so for part 2, we have a little bit more to do with measurements. I just want to tell you that you can, on one page, have more than one scale. So I'm just going to quickly show you how to do that. And then I'm going to show you this thing called sets. I told you about it in our first class. In our first class, we did a compare of documents and an overlay of documents. And so that's those are 2 ways of comparing 2 different pages in 2 different documents. Sets takes it to the next level. And sets is part of every Bluebeam package that's being sold. What we're going to do today is we're going to take 2 larger documents, and what it will do is it will create a panel on the left-hand side where Rev 0 and Rev 1, page 1 is going to be laying on top of each other for each of the documents. Page 2 will be laying on top of each other, page 3. So it takes the whole document view and let you go page by page to do your comparisons. It's just a great feature, very popular. So we're going to be working with sets, all right? And then PDF form creation. Katie and I were talking prior to class. Katie, this one is geared more towards your area, I believe. She does more of operations and admin work. And in that line of work, you may also need to sometimes circulate a PDF where people have to fill things in and then email it back to you. And so this has less to do with the construction and markup side of things, but it's for sending out PDFs. And Bluebeam has a feature that no one else has. When you collect the PDFs at the end, you can create a spreadsheet that takes summarizes all of the individual answers that you got into one spreadsheet so that you can, instead of having to look at 22 answers, you look at one spreadsheet. So we're going to do PDF creation. I'm just going to quickly show you what templates are to see if you will be interested in using them. Then we have this great feature called the stapler. So I wish that I had this 10 years ago or 12 years ago when I used to do access databases for people. And so I had to create a document that was a report in Access when I was doing my proposals on what I was going to do. And then I had an Excel spreadsheet that I had to bring in. And then I had a Word document that I had to merge all together. And it was just such a headache. I couldn't get easily contiguous page numbers. That was like the first thing. What you can do with Stapler is you can take documents created in different applications, merge them together and convert them into a PDF, and then put page numbers that go across all of the pages. So that's what Stapler is, okay? And then here is quantity links. It's another great feature. It is only in the higher end version of the product, but what it will allow you to do is link an Excel sheet to your measurements over in Bluebeam. And if they update the measurements in Bluebeam, they'll automatically change to the Excel file, which of course you can share with other people. So I think that's it. So now we're going to go in. Before we start sets, because I want to take you in and show you how you can do multiple scales on the same page. So I'm on, I think this is page 1. Yes, of 6. I'm back in our favorite area, the battery charging area. And in there, I want it to have its own scale. So you can see that we had a preset scale, right? And I can do that with multiple pages, but on this one page, I want to have two scales. So what you do is you open up the measurements panel on the left-hand side, and here at the bottom, we have something called viewports, all right? And that's where you do multiple scales. So I'm going to click on the plus sign, and it says to define a region, so I will. So I will go in and say, this is the region. And in here, I have to change, I always forget to change the name, so make sure you change the name. So we're going to call this battery charging. And right now, the preset for the rest of the page is 1/32 of an inch equals 1 foot. So I'm going to go in and change it to a half an inch is equal to 1 foot. And I'm going to do an apply. So this now has a different scale. So you can have multiple scales on the same page. Good? All right. So questions on how to have multiple scales? It's important because sometimes you need them. Okay, good. Also, when you're measuring square footage, just so that you know, let me get to full screen here. So if you do something like roofing, I forgot to show this to you earlier. If you do something like roofing and it has a pitch in the units area of your properties for that, you can come in and you can set your pitch to whatever the degrees are going to be. All right, so that might be helpful. I don't know if anybody's doing that kind of work, but I wanted to make sure that you knew it. All right, good. Next, we're going to work with sets, and I am going to save and close this. And I have to go over here. And hold on, when I closed down my machine, I got rid of what I need for my class. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to open up some documents by creating a new set. And the sets is on your left-hand panel. And if you don't see this tag for sets, you can hit your right mouse and you can go in under show and you can turn it on. All right. So that's, if you don't see it, that's the one that you need. So when I go into that panel, there's nothing that's really happening. I want to kind of explain where we're going to go with this. So under sets, I'm going to create a new set. All right. And that set is going to be the original document, Rev 0. And that's going to be my first set. It's going to be the base. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to add another set to it, which is going to be Rev 1. And they're going to lay on top of each other. So I'm going to first go in and create a new set. And it allows you to view a collection of individual sheets as if they are a single document. Okay, so I'll click OK. All right. So for my first set, I want to add a folder. And that is going to be my original drawings, not superseded. So I will select that folder. And it automatically goes in and opens every one of the individual files within that folder. Okay, so here I am. I'm working in multiple files because remember how I showed you how to extract them, but they're going to come in and appear as if they are one file altogether. So that's good. I'm going to click OK. And it pulls up what's called a tag dialog box. So what it does is it shows you what the file name is. It shows you what the page label and the sheet names are. So if I click OK on this, it opens up the first set. All right. So now when you do that the first time, before you've, so this was a set of documents that was used as a set before, I believe. It didn't have me go in and do the, I'm going to open this one up. Remember how earlier we did this? We went in and we had to highlight the sheet number. It will ask you to highlight the area, block out where the title is first and then the sheet number. So it did that for me already just because this had been used previously. So that's my first set. After I open it up, I'm going to go in and I'm going to save it. And so I'm going to call this rev set 0 or set rev 0, and then I'm going to say 22625. Okay, so now I have a set, but it's nothing to compare with yet. All right, so now I'm going to go in and I'm going to add in another set of files. I'll click OK. And those are going to be the revisions. These are also individual files, and I'm going to do an open. So what it does is in the tags dialog box, it says this has a match to 201, which was revision 0. 201 is now revision 1. Okay, and there is no match for the 300 and 401 here. Is that true? Oh no, there is. It's revision 0, revision 0. Okay, but my sheet number is coming up kind of funky on those. I'm going to highlight those and do an auto mark on them. And here's my sheet number. Good. So those didn't match, but they do now, right? So here's my 401, there's my 401. I don't know what it had put in there, but you do have to pay attention to this. But this 300, the first 300 is going to be rev 0, and that's going to be rev 0. So you can see 100 to 401 is rev 0, and then of those that were changed, that would be rev 1. Doesn't have to be an exact match. So now it pulls up this dialog box, and we would have had a problem if I hadn't gone in and changed the sheet numbers on those 2 pages, but it finds a match in each of the revised and current files. So in here, I will just click OK. Okay, so now what it does is on the left-hand panel, it is showing me all of the individual files merged together per page so that I can do comparisons. And if I go up to the top here, now this, I opened up this one. I'm going to close it because I don't really need it. When you're looking at this panel, the documents aren't necessarily opened, all right? And I did open one of these, but let's look at back to the top again. A100 is the first page. There's not a second page that was matched to it in Rev 1. But if I go down to A201, I can see that there's 2 pages there. And I can kind of see it in the background, right? But if I click on this arrow to the left, it will show me that this was Rev 0. And what it does when you make a set out of it is it stamps it with superseded, Rev 0, so that you know that that's no longer the most recent level. And then it takes any of the markups that were in Rev 0 that weren't in Rev 1, and it copies them over to Rev 1 so that you have a complete and updated markup set. All right. And like I said, I don't have to have this opened. It's just showing me in the panel that there's a comparison. So all of these I can see comparisons to. 203 had some changes and so on. All right. So you can, it does a match per page. So does the idea of creating sets or documents have been extracted into separate pages, pulling them in together so you can see them page by page compared to each other? Does this make sense to you? Any questions on it? Okay, I have to go in and I have to save this set under a new name because this is Rev 1, isn't it? So I'm going to say sets Rev 1, but I'm going to change the date to 2/26. So now I have two different sets. So I can go into sets now, and I can close this set and also close this down. I'll just say. And if it's next week and I want to add more to the set, I can go back into sets and I can open the set, and I'm going to open the one, I think it was in here. Nope. MCA. Ooh, where did I put it? Hold on. Hold on, guys. I don't know where I saved it to. Well, that's no good. Nope, 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 nope. I don't know where I put them, so I have to go and find them. Oh, MCAMW. Oh, I know. I put them in a different folder. Give me a second here. Here we go. There we go. Yay. Okay, so I want to look at Rev 1. I'm going to do an open. It was taking me, by the way, to the folder that I used in my last class was a different association. Okay, so now it opened everything up again, and I could go and add more sets to this. So after you create a set, you don't have to recreate it whenever you want to visit it and enhance it. So the menu up here lets you open a set, close a set, do a new one, save it as a new one, and so on. I can also go in from this menu and I can say, just show me the latest revisions, and it will go in, and they're on the top right now, but I could also switch it to select the previous revisions. So I can, angle this whole panel so that I can zoom in on what I want. I can also go in and publish. So if I go in and do a combine, what it's going to do is it's going to bring Rev 0 and Rev 1 together into its own document. I'm going to take you into create a PDF package out of that. And I really like this feature because what these are hyperlinks. So if I had this set closed down and I clicked on this, it would find the document and it would open it for me. Let me close this panel so you can see what you get. So it will show you that we made a change today in this file. And if I click on it now, it opens it up and it shows it to you. So the PDF package, it is a PDF, but it just makes a table format out of all of the things that were in your set that you can mail to someone else. And as long as those files are stored in a common area, you can go in and you can just open them up. So it's a really nice feature of the program. Also, under the sets menu, under publish, I can export a drawing log if I wanted to. And so if I click on this, it just comes up with basically all of the information that was stored, and it will put it into an Excel file so that I can use that to export to other people, other people via Excel. So it wants to give it the name. It's going to make an Excel sheet, and it's going to store it. Let's see. That's good. It can store it there. And I'm going to click on Done. So I will have a drawing log in that folder, and it's going to open it up, and it's an Excel sheet. So this is similar to what we saw earlier, but now this is instead of a PDF. These are all hyperlinks, and this will also open them. And look at it tells you in one place if something's been superseded and what the rev number is. So it's a really nice compilation of what you've got inside of your separate documents, but it's pulling it all together. Very informational. All right, another nice feature of sets. And then I just want to walk you through, I can go and modify sets. So it allows me to view the collection and add more sets into it. So, I could keep expanding. It's the same thing as doing the add feature. This adds files to it, all right? This is that edit tags. Every once in a while, you'll open something up and it won't look right. So you can come in here, like I opened the one up and the 300 and the 401 from the red zero weren't done correctly. So you can change things in here. You can click on anything and, go in and modify it if you need to. All right. And then that's that. I can do a search in here for anything, any markup that's in there. I can do a search and I can either do it with the get rectangle on a visual, or I can do a text search if I needed to. I don't want to do that now. And this is a nice feature. Let me widen this out a little bit. So you can either see your sets as full pictures or as the text that goes with them. And if you have a really big document, I'll tell you this is the easier way to look at them, because you're going to know what the names are. And when you cursor over it, it pops up the actual document on the right-hand window, an image of it if you opened it. So that is just another way, flopping between hiding the thumbnails and showing the document names. Good? Any questions on sets? All right. I am going to not save that and close that down. And I'm going to come in and close this set out. So I'm going to say, yes, go ahead and save it if I made any changes. I don't remember making any, but that's what sets is. Any questions? Oh, the other thing I didn't show you in there is, remember in our first class, I'm going to open it up one more time. Let's see if I can get into it faster. Yay. I'm going to go to Rev 1. Is I can go in to this, hit my right mouse, and remember how we did our compare and our overlay pages? So I could do that right now if I wanted to. And it's the same thing we did in the first class, and see how it's making that green. So you still have the simple features that we had, that we did in the first class. So you can create overlays out of any of the individual pages. Good. I don't think there's anything else on the individual. Modify, I showed you all the other things. Yes. So that's sets. Let me do a close out of that. All right. Next is the PDF formation. All right. I hope you guys like this one. I think it's kind of good. All right. Let me go over to my folder that I'm working on today. And this part of the class starts out with Word. So in Word, this is where, when I'm doing form fill-ins and I'm creating them from scratch, this is the place that I create them, is over in Word. And so I'm going to turn off my navigation panel, and I'm going to show you how I created this. Do you all know what a table is in Word? Is there anybody here that does not know how to create a table? Anybody? Should I show you how to create one real quickly in case you think you know but you're not sure? I'm going to, just because I want to make sure. This is the most important part of this area. So I'm going to go into Insert. I'm going to go into Table, and I'm going to create a table with 2 columns, and it's going to be that many rows. All right. So I place my information inside of a table, and I put my label for each of the things that's going to be interfaced on the left-hand column, and I right align it. I'm going to take us back to our other document. So I created this table with 2 columns, and notice I made each of the labels for the fill-ins right aligned. So I clicked on this column, I went up here and I right aligned them. It looks nicer, it's easier to read, all right? What is important is that there's a colon after them, and you've got the name. This is going to become the field name when we go in and make this a form fill-in. So that's the way that you do the setup. So these are all tables, okay? And these are going to be our fill in the blanks. So I created that, and then from that, I created a PDF from it. I can do it in my new Office 365 version, I can click on that. It says it's an Adobe Acrobat one, but I've got Bluebeam on mine. A PDF is a PDF. So if I click on Create PDF, it just pops up a box, asks me to name it, and then where I want to store it. So I did that prior to class. Whether you use this or this, it's going to do the same thing. All right. So I created my PDF, and I'm going to close this down and not save it. So now, if I go over here and I have something called form fill-in, let me just find my folder with that. Here's my forms. All right. So now I have an empty PDF that I would open up in Bluebeam. So I saved that Word document and I named it, and now I would open it up in Bluebeam. All right. So everyone has access to creating their own form fields for fill in the blank documents that you're going to email. And the way that you do it is you go to Tools Form and you go to Text Box or Radio Button or Check. These are all the different kinds of fill in the blank things you could do. But in this instance, I would go in here and I would click and drag, and I have a form fill in. And on the left-hand side, if I turn on my forms, where are they? Hello, forms, forms, forms. I must have hidden them. Boop, 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 boop. Give me a second. Set. There it is, forms. When I put a field in here, I then can go over here and I can name it company. All right. So this is the manual way of doing it. And I would have to do that with every single field. These are called fields of information that I'm putting in here. But there is a shortcut to this. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to delete this. If you have the highest plan, the complete plan, or extreme plan of the product, and you go into form, you have something called automatically create form fields. All right. And so if I created my table the right way and put those labels adjacent to where the underline is and right align them with colons, watch what happens. It just did all of the fields and named them whatever I put to the left of them. It didn't even take a second to do. So here's where I am with this. If you think that you will be using fill-in forms, then you should maybe get one copy of the higher end plan, because this will pay for itself probably in the first project that you do. So any questions on that? So what would I do next with this? I would save the document and I would email that document to all the different people that I want to fill into the document, to have it filled in. Now I'm going to close this down without saving it. But are there any questions on how I did this? Okay, because I'm going to show you a document under my forms that is filled in. So that's what it would look like. That's what I would be sending out to everybody if I had saved that document previously. All right. And then these are the ones that I sent out. They came back to me. They were all filled in differently. Good? All right. So here's the trick. When you get your documents back, hold on, I have to show you something. When they email the documents back to you, you will do a file save attachment, and you will create a folder for each one of those documents to be put into. So all of these documents are stored in this folder. All right. So let me go in and close all these down. And
Hey, Jeannie?
Yes, yes.
Question on the one that's the like when you send it to someone.
Yes.
So I open it up, but it doesn't show those fields. Like if
The
I were going to fill it out, right? Like pretend that I'm the person receiving it.
so so this one that's empty, fill in fields with no data. Hold on, let me double check to be sure that I sent you the right file. Um, oh, hold on. I have to send you. I'll get you a link to that extra form because
Okay, no problem. I just want to make sure I wasn't going crazy.
you are not going crazy. All right. So let me go in and do this and go up here and do a tools form, automatically create form fields. And then let me do a file, save as, and then I'm going to say to form fill in with fields no data, save. Good.
Ah,
Now,
okay.
that's what I have to email to you. And give me just a second here. I'll go out. I must have stored the wrong one out in my Google Drive. I want to go and get a link to this. Let me do this after class.
Yeah,
Randall,
no
I'm going to
problem. I
send
can
you.
also just make my mind fill in just like you did real quick and call it a day. So, I mean,
Okay,
that's good
that's
too. Yeah.
fine. But everybody else needs this too if they're going to, practice with it. So
Gotcha.
that's what the document will look like. Randall, I'm going to send you a copy of this document after the class so that everyone has it. All right. So now if I go back over, I lost my little, hold on. Let me just get this. Um, Okay, so these are all those forms that were completed. All right, they all came back via email, and I stored them in this folder. All right, so then the next thing that you can do, I'm going to open them all up again. I don't have to because they're all in one folder, but let's see if we can just do an open so you can see them again. Okay, so now if I go back to the form menu, and everyone gets this feature, we can then go in and do a, hold on, merge data. I've just gotten an update on my software this week, so let's do an export data. Okay, so I'm doing an export data. No, that isn't right. Tools, form. It's not giving me, oh, merge data is what I wanted. So merge data, and I'm going to say add the open files. So there's my open files. But if I didn't want to, I could have just added that folder in there, and then I'll click OK. And it's going to name it report, and it's going to be a flat Excel file called CSV as the last name. So I'm going to say report to 2625. And so now let's go back out and get that, and look what you get. So this is each one of those individual files. Let me widen this out. With all of the fields that were filled in, merged, and brought into one spreadsheet. Cool? So the only part that you don't all get is that automatic fill in. Everything else is common to the base set of the application. Do you like it? So this is a spreadsheet that you could then go in and do subtotals and totals. The one thing is it's a CSV file. It's not an Excel file, so I would do a file save as here. And I would go in and change this from CSV to an Excel workbook, and I would save it. Because now I can go in and I can do the format as table command, right? And I can get subtotals by some of the columns if I needed to. So now it starts looking like a pretty valuable piece of information to me. Questions? Good? Okay. Let's see. Let's go pop over to PowerPoint, see what we've got. So we went over sets, gave you a new set using the originals, add revised documents to the set, We did some evaluation of the pages. I showed you a compare and overlay. I didn't do a print, but basically in the print you have the option of printing just the revised or the all of the sets that you have open. And I showed you how that tag screen worked. We just did PDFs. So I create the form in Word. I save it to a PDF. I add the form fields in Bluebeam. Extreme only, I had the automatically create. Then you email the form to everyone, and you email, after you've emailed it, you tally the responses in the merge option. Okay, next is templates. I just want to quickly walk you through what a template is. And let me go in and close all these down. And so a template is when you create a PDF that you're going to use over and over and over again. And I think I have a submittal in here. So I have a submittal that was created prior to class. And so this would be something that perhaps you would be using over and over again. Honestly, this would be another thing created over in Word, saved as a PDF, and then to turn it into a template, I could do the file. Let's see, it is save as template. Misleading a little because you're looking to do a new PDF, but if you want to create a document inside of this application that you're going to use as a template, pull it up and then do save as a template. Okay, so that's something that's helpful. I also use one, let me do this. That is memorandum is a nice one that comes with your application. And I have one in here that is an invoice. That's another nice one that you might use. Okay. So you can email these. I'll show you the one that I use all the time. So I can go in and I can do create email templates. So I have one called invoices that I use. Oh, it's not opening it up. Wonder what happened there. It's probably because I have some new stuff that I'm doing, but I could come in a new template and I could name the template. I'll call it test. And in the template, I can say that this is going to be to Randall. Randall, I don't have your new email address. I'm going to say arcamca.org. I'm making this up. And then I can put in the subject and I can say class attendees. But what I use it for is I turn my bills into PDFs and then I would call it invoicing, and that's how I use it personally. But this is for you. And I'll say, okay. So I'm going to call it test. So now when I go into email templates, you guys, I don't know why it won't let me open, it won't let me open anything up. I wonder if it's looking at a wrong folder. But yeah, I have to look at that. Yeah. Let me go and open up a blank document, see if that'll change it. It shouldn't. Oh, yes, it does. It actually does. So if I do an email template, it takes that document and automatically emails it out. Yes, yes, yes. So if I had this document and I went up to File, Email Templates, and this, pretending this was an invoice, it will open up my Office 365, attach it, and that was my note that I put inside there. So if you're reusing PDFs over and over again, you can get them set up to go over to Outlook. So that's the template feature. Okay, next, let's see what else we've got. The quantity link. this is a feature that, let me just close this down, close that down. Let me show you what we're going to do with this one. I'll show you the finished first. All right, so inside of Bluebeam, I have a document called quantity link, and in it, I have my measurements. Okay, here's my flooring. If I go in and I change anything as far as the size of those rooms, so I'm going to click on this, add a control point, and I'm going to make it bigger. All right, so this document is directly linked to this document. And so if I make changes in the one document and save it, they will automatically show up here. So I'm going to do a file save. And let me show you how I did it. So I just grayed these out so you could tell that this is where the fields were, but this is directly linked. So let's go back, and that's for tile. So let me go back over and make one more change. Let's change this to tile. Let's go back over to Excel. And you see, it automatically changed for me. All right, let me show you how I set this up and how it works. This is another one of the Bluebeam Complete. And so I'm going to open up a new one that hasn't been connected yet. Okay, so here's how you do it. If you have the Bluebeam Extreme or Bluebeam Complete, when you hit your right mouse inside of Excel, you automatically see something called Quantity Link. And so if I click on Create, I can go in there and I can add a file. And I'm going to add the one that I just showed you. And then I could add multiples, right? So I'm just going to add one. Now, I think because I had this open, it didn't like it. Let's go in and save this. So what it does next when you're doing the create is it takes you into the columns that we have down in the markup list. And in there, I can go in and say, I need to get an area measurement. And I want the area to be the subject is equal to flooring. And the material is going to be equal to tile. And then I'm going to click OK. So it just gave me the tile. Now I'm going to do it again. I'm going to click here. I'm going to hit the right mouse. I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to do another create. So I'm looking for the total of an area measurement, and the subject is flooring, and the material is wood. And then I click OK. And that's how you link it. After it's linked, if you hit the right mouse, some of the other options you've got is you can go in and find out where the source files are. You can go in, if I click on this right now, it shows me that's the name of the source file. I can also go in and under quantity link, I can edit what the setup is of that particular link. So every single measurement field would have to be linked separately. But then after it's set up, this is dynamic. And if I change the settings on the other side, as I showed you, they would change here. So this was just a formula. It does a sum. This is a formula that multiplies the area times the cost. I probably should have added in the number of rooms, hoping they're all the same size, but you kind of get the idea. You can just add in your formulas, which are based around those measurements, all right, and the cost. Any questions on Quantity Link? Anybody? Okay, I'm going to close down my Quantity Link right now. I'm not going to save it. I use it for my other classes. I'll close down the one that was completed, and I'll save that one. All right, so let's go see what we've got here. I did your new PDF from template, the submittal form. I didn't add a company stamp, but I could have gone in and add the company stamp and flattened it on my submittal form so that it came out as part of the PDF. So that would have been easily done. And then you'd save it as a template. And I showed you how to email a template. Oh, we're not ready to look at that yet. So let's come back here and got to show you one other thing, and it's called the stapler. Okay, so for this, I'm going to take us back out. I have a folder here that's called stapler. Everybody can see it? Okay, so in this folder, I have a Word document, I have a PDF, I have an Excel file, and I did a test staple with another class. But I can go in and I can highlight all the documents I want to bring in and hit the right mouse, and it will show me combine files in review. So it's going to pull them all. Let's do one. I'm going to do a combine files in review and see what we get. So it takes all of those documents and it's going to merge them into, let me pick a folder that I want to put it into. So that's where it's going to put them, the new file. I have to give it a name. So I'm going to call it test 22625. And it pulls me into this dialog box. And what I can do in here is if I wanted the Excel file to come first and it wasn't placed first, I can move things around. All right, so I can pull that up. I can go in and it knows, what application it belongs to. I don't usually use this configure very much, but I can go in and do some configuration changes. And I can come in here and I can do a staple. It takes a minute. And while it's doing this, I'm just going to tell you that under the file menu on the top here, you see this? If this is a group of files that you are going to need to be combining in the future over and over again, you can go and do a file save. So it saves the configuration. As long as those files have the same name every time you update them and they're stored in the same folder, it will automatically go in and let you just do the staple without having to pull them in. It's taking a while. I think one of my files might be kind of big.
Ginny, I just have a quick
Yes.
question.
Sure.
I lost your mouse after you clicked all three documents in the folder area. What did you press to?
I hit my right mouse and there was two Bluebeam options that said, I think it was called convert was the first of the options and the second one was combine. I'll show
Okay.
it to you then as soon as I get through with this part. But
Okay, no
man,
problem.
it's just
Thank you.
taking so long today. Let me make sure nothing's open. No, I don't have anything open, so come on, you can do it. I'm going to do a cancel and just show you one from a previous class. Oh, I think it was stuck on this update thing, but let me open up this one. Okay, so here is the Bluebeam doc, or my Word document, as I go through here. So it merges. Here's a PDF, and this is an Excel sheet. So it pulled them all together. All right. And then when I'm in here, if I go into the document menu, I can do consecutive page numbers with it. But I want to tell you that it is not the page number options. All right. It is create page labels. So if I click in here, I can go in. Oh, I don't even want to do that one. I'm going to go in under document. It's going to be headers and footers. That's the best one. So I'm going to do headers and footers, and I'm going to add them in. And it's going to be just this one document. I'm going to click next. And so I'm going to say that I want it to be a center footer, and I want it to put the page number in there. And I want it 1 of 13 or, whatever. So I'm going to click OK. And so now when I click OK, so you see this, if I zoom in, isn't that nice? There's page 1. And there's a way where you can say exit, don't show it on page 1 or page 2. But it gives you consecutive page numbers. And then going back to Caitlin's question, what I did here was I clicked on this, through this, I hit my right mouse, and I did a combine files in review. Okay, so that just pulled them all in and converted them to PDFs if they needed to be. But here's the difference between the first option and the second. What the second option does is keeps them as separate documents, but turns them all into PDFs. What the first one does is it pulls them all into one document and makes them one PDF file inside of Review. Is that good? Is that better, Caitlin?
Yes, I just missed the little step. Thank you. Got it.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. So that's how that works. What do you think? Is it something you'll use? You like it? Yes? All right. We're done a little bit early today. You guys didn't have a lot of questions this week. Can I ask you, is there anything else you want me to go over? I can redo any of the things that I've already explained to you. We can do them again if you need a second pass at it, because we've got, something like 20 minutes left here. Anybody? I'm happy to do it. All right. I guess not. So we don't have our next. Oh, yes, Brian. Yes.
I know this is going to be. Can I watch you redo link just really quick the hyperlinks?
Is that off the title sheet or the last one that I did?
Let's see. I went into because I tried doing it on. I tried doing one of them while you were going through them, and it didn't come out for me the same way you had done it.
But was it at the beginning of the class or was it the
Yeah.
quantity link? Oh, it was the title sheet thing that I showed you? Okay, sure. Let me go over here and get my title sheet. I have to get it. Sorry. Okay, so I am going to, should I open up Combined and do it off of that one? Brian?
Please.
Okay. And if it has links in it, I'll get rid of them real quickly. It doesn't. Okay. But if I go over here, I did the page labels. That you understand how to do that? Page labels?
Yeah, that's what I was cropping the
That,
center there, and then it didn't label them properly for me.
okay, so let me do those for you. All right. So when you want it, and we can just ignore, actually I can come into all these and get rid of the page labels so you can see it from scratch. And I'm going to reset all page labels. Okay, so now we just have 1, 2, 3. So here's how we do it. We come in here under thumbnails. We click on the little starburst, and we do page region select. But before I do that, I always like to zoom in so I can do a good job of highlighting. All right, so I'm going to do create page labels under page region select. So I click here. And Brian, make sure that it says all 7 pages are going to be done. So then I do a select, and I want my sheet number to be first. So I just draw a rectangle around that, and it says, okay, it caught the A001 on the first page. And then I put a dash between them. And then I add the sheet title. Now, don't include the label sheet title or the sheet number label. You just want the text. And see how wide I make it here? Because on some of the other pages, it might be wider.
Okay.
Is that better? You try
Yeah,
it.
I think I missed that step there. So.
Yep. And then do an OK. Because it will incorporate in that everything that you blocked out. So you don't want the labels where it says, for that particular area. And then we have that. And then the next thing would be to extract them into their separate pages. And that's shift. For some reason, my shift click never wants to work for me. Okay, here we go. Shift click. And then I would do an extract pages. When I do that, I want all 7 pages extracted. I want it to use the page label to name the files. And I'm just going to click OK here. It's going to take me out, and I have to have let's see, hyperlink samples. I have to have a folder to put them in. Okay. So there's my class extraction. I select that folder, and then I say yes, overwrite all the old files. So now they're all back there again. So then I do my hyperlinks because I'm doing them, on the extracted files. I wouldn't have to extract them. I could use, going inside of each one of these pages. I could say go to page 001, 002, 003 within the same document. But in there, I went in and I did batch, link, new, and then I had to pick a folder, and it was my class extraction, because it's not looking at anything that's opened right now. It's just looking at the stuff that you stuck in that folder. So I could close down combine sample now. It wouldn't matter. And I'm going to click next. And now I told it to pick up the file name. That was this in the extracted folder. And in settings, I said from the beginning, first from the start, go up to the dash. So it took the sheet number. And then I just clicked OK. Then I did a generate. I wish they would number these, would do a 1, 2, 3, and then a 4 down here. So generate gives you a listing here. By the way, if it ever finds 2 files with the same name, it'll put a red exclamation point. So you have to eliminate one of them. And then I did link options once where I said make it yellow on the title sheet. So then I did a run. There's my links, finished and closed. Now, it did nothing in here. I'm not gonna save my, well, I can save it, doesn't matter. All right, so now I have to go back out to my class extraction, and the title sheet is where the hyperlink is happening, and that will open up the other file. Good?
Yeah.
Sometimes these are like multi-stepped, and I believe I do have notes in the handouts that I sent you, but let me know if you need more help with it. It's a great feature. I love it. Great. Okay. It's great for contracts too if you're working with contracts, because it just directly takes them to the links that you want them to have. Okay. Any other questions?
I have one on the tools and the stamps, I guess.
Yes.
Instead of adding a date or a time, can you show us an example of just adding or typing your name under your signature? So creating a signature.
I love that. That's really good. Okay, let me open up a blank document here. So I hope that you guys all create a blank document that you use over and over again. It's just so helpful. So I'm going to come in here and so I'm going to do this. Is it okay if I take our class signature and edit it? Because we know how to do that. All right. And you can get rid of this date. I'll delete it. And you can go in and put a text box in there. I think this will do it. Okay. Here's one suggestion. There's a couple ways we can do it. Do you know what your username is, Polly? Do you know what
My
I mean by
username,
that, by username?
like through Microsoft or something?
Well, you're close. I'm going to put username in here, and then I'm going to take you over here. Under
Oh,
your
gotcha.
file
Okay.
menu, no, it would be under your, I'm trying to think. Yes, it's how, under preferences, it has, see, my G Flora. If I go in there and I change that to Ginny Florida,
Oh, the user. I see.
that's my user. So that's the same thing as you typing it. All right. So that would do it. You could also go in. I'm going to put
Gotcha.
2 in here just so you can kind of see your options. I could go into markup and use typewriter. And so here I could go in and say GINNIEFLOR. I'm just going to put floor in there for the whole thing, okay?
Hmm.
Anytime you use a text box, you get this dynamic thing with it. So we're going to ignore that now. So we have 2 of the same thing. So let's just say it's going to look a little funky, but not bad. So let's go in and close this down and save it. I'm going to go back up to Tool Stamp. So this, I didn't like that it came out in red. I probably would have changed it, but I kind of like the user font better than
Hmm.
the other font, don't you?
Yeah.
So that's what I would do is I would change, but if you're doing it on somebody else's machine, I would think, let me just do a little test here. Typewriter. You can change that. See, I could go in here and change. I could have changed that to making it 14 and not courier. Let's go in and make it Times New Roman. And so now I'm going to go, oh, it lost it. But yes, I can change that. I can change what that is. All right, so now select it, go up here and change it to Times New Roman. That looks nicer. That's what this is. I think it's probably a Times New Roman font. So either way you can do it.
Hmm.
Is that good? Does that help?
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Good enough. I love your questions, you guys. Any others? Okay,
I
in
was
your hand.
also,
Yes, Brian?
I'm sorry.
No,
I was
no.
also testing out the applying the pricing,
Yes.
and pretty sure I did something wrong there. I know I needed to
Can I
add
look at your
columns.
screen? Can we open up your screen to everybody? Because you guys, this is work. Is that all right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'm going to make you the presenter because practice makes perfect. And believe me, when I first did this, I failed a little. Now, you should get a message there that says share your screen, and you have to say either share or okay or something so it shows everybody your screen.
Let's see, review custom libraries
You
on
don't
the
see a pop up
go-to.
on your screen that says share your go-to meeting keyboard or toolbar?
Yeah, it has on here. Let's see, it's having me select an option. My libraries,
No,
Bluebeam, no. Oh, maybe in window.
maybe.
Go-to meeting. All right, let's try that.
Okay, so now bring over your document inside of change over to your document inside of Bluebeam for me.
So, okay, so here's where. Can you see it or?
Is it on a different monitor by chance?
No, I just have my Bluebeam open on the same monitor.
Okay, so hold on. I'm going to go over here. Yeah, on your top tab, click on. I don't see it. So go to your Bluebeam your GoToMeeting and change the share to give me your other options in share when you open up share. We're very close to seeing this. So on your GoToMeeting keyboard, there should be a share option, and it should show you a share screen.
I think it's right here where it's behind. It's going to have me stop sharing before I can select that.
All right, go ahead and stop sharing and then bring it back again.
Okay.
So I'm going to make you the presenter. Oh, you are still the presenter. So you should have something there now that lets you share it. Uh-huh. Yeah, we did it. Okay, good. All right, so let me see what you've done here. So you've named it flooring. Very good. And then you went in for material. Now, do this, Brian. On the first flooring item, double click where it says material with your left mouse. Go into the material column. One more over to the right. There you go. Now double click. Now click the combo. Does anything? There you go.
Okay, so I wasn't double clicking there then.
Yes, that's the only thing you did wrong.
Okay.
You should have a choice of both of those, tile or, yeah. You had it. You did it.
Cool.
Good.
Cool.
Great. Thanks for sharing. Any other questions? This makes me feel good. I think you guys are kind of getting it, right? And most importantly, liking it. I also want to tell you that in your Bluebeam help screen, there's a bunch of keyboard shortcuts that you might want to look at. So I'm in the help screen right now, and here's the shortcuts guide. So, I'm not a typist, as you've all seen, but there are times where it's much faster to hit the keyboard. So you might want to come in here and print these out. But also, in the meantime, whenever you're going into a menu, if there's a shortcut, it shows it to you. So text box, I could tap the letter T, or typewriter W. So learn your shortcuts because they are helpful on saving time. Also, did I tell you in the first class? I believe I did. In your tool chest, did I explain how this My Tools works with the numbers?
I believe I can't see your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're still.
Yes, it turned it off. I apologize, and I have to manually turn it back on again. So this My Tools, did I explain what all these numbers are? What they are is the markups that you use the most. Drag into this tool chest. It assigns a number to it, and then you can go and just type the number when you want to use it instead of having to open the tool chest and find it. So if I wanted to do a highlight right now, I could come over here, type a 1, and I've got a highlight. It's fast because you'll use your markup tools in your tool chest a lot more than anything else. So if you've got something in another tool chest, you just drag it in here. If this was something I was going to use, I could drag it in there and it'll assign it a number. And also there's a search box up here in this tool chest. So, I've named a couple of things move. If I type move, it will go and find anything that had the name move assigned to it. So you can find those things. Tool chest is the basis of what you should be working with. Good?
Okay. Yeah. Where did you type when you moved? Did you move your cursor over and then just type 1 or 11?
Okay. I moved it into the body of the PDF, and I looked over at the My Tools that had a number. I'm going to type a 5 now. If you see my screen, that's a call out. So if I do a 5, wait, hold on. I shrunk my toolbox down. Let's go here. My Tools. I don't know what happened. All my tools went away. Don't you love this? See that? They did. They went away. I've got 16
Well, I
of
think
them.
it's looking for the 5 right now because you started 5.
You have the
I know,
search team.
Oh, you're in the search tab of the tool chest. Yeah.
Oh, that's where it went. Thanks, you guys. I'm going to do a 5 now. See? Now I have a call out. Yes. Got to move your. I thought I had clicked over on the right-hand side, but
So
yes.
you do that with the cursor in the screen. Okay.
Yeah, and have nothing in the search box, please, because that
Okay.
takes priority, because that's where my cursor was. So that's why it didn't work. All right. So, but get those shortcuts, and it will make working a little bit easier for you. And start, memorizing some of the more common ones as you're working with them. So, um, so we don't have a next class set up, but I'm sure that Randall will let you know when there is something coming in. This is where I have to say thank you, and I hope that you learned enough to be dangerous, right, Randall?
That's right. Hopefully, a little more dangerous today.
We like good
Um,
dangerous. So,
That's right. Good dangerous, healthy dangerous.
hmm
I do want to point out the post-session survey has been sent via the chat. If you could go ahead and fill it out for us, I'll make sure I relay that to Ginny. Again, just some feedback on the class itself, and then if you have any other class ideas you'd like to see, keep in mind Ginny is a Microsoft Word specialist or Microsoft Suite specialist as well. So if there is a targeted class, maybe we could put together around the Microsoft Suite, Outlook, Word, Excel, even maybe PowerPoint if you need it. We could build a class together for that, no problem. If not, Jenny might already have it in her on her class list. So, yeah, thank you all for attending. I do just want to highlight our next class for ARCA's calendar. It's going to be April 13th. It's a killer contract clauses class. It was rescheduled originally, so you will receive an email about it. We'll be sending an email out to the masses for it. Registration is wide open. If you want to sign anybody up for it, you can look in our education catalog that we've sent out and handed out to people. Has a full description, but otherwise, just email Nancy at arcamca.org and just say you want to get registered for the contracts class. We'll kind of go from there. But the other element, one question, just for attendance sake, we're keeping attendance here on the back end. I have somebody who called in. It's caller 02. If you could just message us your name or even email us, that's fine. We just want to make sure we have attendance records for today. That's the only person we haven't got a name for. So if you are calling in, it's got you listed as caller 02. Just want to see if you could just message us your name, just so we have that verified. But yeah, most importantly, thank you all for your time. Thank you, Jenny, for hosting.
can
We
I
hope
add
today
one
was
more
meaningful
thing
for
when
you.
you're talking about after class stuff? I do a lot of troubleshooting with people's documents in the different software packages. So if you're working in Excel and you're having trouble with making something work right, it's kind of the stuff that I also do. Or in Bluebeam, sometimes, please, and I said this in the first class, if you're having trouble with a document and you want to send me an email about it, if I can give you a quick answer, of course I will. If I don't know the answer, I'll send a note off to the Bluebeam people because I have the maintenance contract with them. And many of your companies may already have it, so you wouldn't need to send it to me. But if you don't have the maintenance contract, by all means, send me a note, and I'll be happy to try to push it over to the Bluebeam experts, and they can help you out. All right, one of us will get you your answer. So.
I'll add to that too. It's hard to find a Bluebeam resource. I will say, definitely, Ginny is your one-stop shop. I've been down there before trying to find Bluebeam specific instructors even and whatnot. Like Ginny is definitely going to be your best resource to start with. And if not, if she can't find the right person, then they may not exist. So definitely, just to reiterate that sentiment, yeah,
Oh,
definitely
thanks.
feel free to use Ginny there.
And do I have any people in this class that might be project managers? Anybody?
That would be me.
Okay, I'm going to put something out here for you. Hold on just a second. And you're all welcome to take it. Let's see, Bluebeam product training. I took a class not long ago that was Bluebeam for project managers. It was a virtual class. I'm going to put the link in here for you. You're all welcome to take it. They told me I can share it. All right. Let's see. Does it come up as? It didn't come up as a link, did it? I have to copy this as a link. Hold on. Link. Why isn't it copying it? Okay. Now I'll get it to you. I know it's a long link, but copy and paste this, and it's a nice 1-hour remote session that is all about being a project manager. And then I have another one here that is, I actually learned about those numbers. You know, I've been teaching Bluebeam for ages, but you're, still learning things. I know it says watch the webinar on demand here, but this is more about tool chests. And it's a great little seminar. They're free from Bluebeam. I've just started taking them. Randall, you can copy and paste those into your browser and share them with any of your members that might want them, or we could put a nicer link up on your website once you get that established. But these are great little free seminars that you can all take from Bluebeam. I've got about 5 more I'm going to be taking. You're never done learning, guys, right?
Thanks for sharing those, Jenny. I added the websites to my list here. I'm definitely going to look into that myself and see how maybe we can pass those along to the membership.
Good, good.
And Jenny,
guys,
you said you do, you guys do, or you do, I guess, I'll call it a private session, or like, is there a way to
yes,
contact you for those if we need those in the
yes,
future?
absolutely. Yes, I
Okay.
work one-on-one with individuals or with individual companies.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and if I do an individual company class, I will allow those to be recorded if you're interested. I can't record the general ones. It's too complicated.
Yeah.
But I'll be happy if we do a one-on-one or an individual company session. You just send me an email and we'll talk about it, and include your phone number because I'll give you a call.
Okay. Great. Sounds good. I'll talk to the boss and we'll go from there.
All right, good. You guys, it was fun. I hope you learned enough that you thought it was worth your time, not just to make you dangerous, but it's a great package. There's so much in here. So, all right. Hope to train you again in the future. Randall, thanks so much.
See you later. Thank you, everybody. Thanks again for your time today.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.